Welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to Stuff No One Told Us About Weight Loss. My name is Eloise and I'm here with Aaron, and today we're talking about relying on willpower to lose weight.
Something that a lot of people have expectations that they're going to have to create this iron will to resist the foods that they have always enjoyed for the rest of their lives. They're never going to be able to eat ice cream again.
Yeah.
They're just going to have to avoid junk food altogether. And it's simply not true.
Yeah. And it's understandable that most of us believe this because it's pretty much all that's taught in the weight loss space.
Yeah.
Is you can eat these foods, you can't eat these foods, and pretty much you've just got to follow this meal plan. And if you follow it, you're doing it right and you'll get the results. If you don't follow it, well, you're just not good enough.
Yeah.
You need to work harder.
That's right. And it's unfortunately, it's used as a tool to sell quick fixes and short-term solutions. And unfortunately, it works, for the marketing purposes.
It works to sell the product. It doesn't work for long-term weight loss.
It works for them, but it doesn't work for you if you're a consumer, because it's just giving you a really quick fix thing that's not actually going to benefit you in the long run. Yeah.
And it's teaching you that in order to get the results you want, you're going to have to force yourself and hate your life and make yourself eat these specific foods and force yourself to go out doing all this stuff that you hate all the time. And it's going to be a shit time.
Yeah.
But you might look good at the end of it.
No promises.
Yeah. And that's just not how it works, because, look, if you don't enjoy what you're doing while you're losing weight, you're not magically going to start enjoying things and being able to keep the weight off once you've lost the weight. That's not how it works, although a lot of us think that that's how it works. I'll just force myself to lose the weight now and then I'll figure it out later. I'll figure out how to keep it off later. But has that ever worked so far?
Famous last words.
Exactly. We always gain it back when we have that mindset.
Yeah. So first of all, let's just cover what is willpower? And basically willpower is the ability to force yourself to do something. In layman's terms, as simple as it's going to get, it's forcing yourself to do something where you actually have to put energy into making a decision to do something.
And the most classic example of that is forcing yourself to eat healthy.
Yeah.
Or forcing yourself to eat an apple when you want to eat ice cream.
Yeah. And the really interesting thing to realize is, and to start to become aware of, is when you're actually using willpower, when it shows up. So specifically with a weight loss example, anytime you're saying I've got to get serious now, especially if you're voicing it to other people, you're saying I've got to get serious now, I've just got to stick to this plan. I have to force myself to do this. That's you're intending to use willpower right there.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up to use willpower instead of being able to do it in a way that's sustainable.
Yeah. And if you've been on diets before, you've probably said one or all of those things to yourself. I know I certainly have. That idea of all right, I've let myself go a bit. Okay, I've been eating super unhealthy. I'm going to get serious now. It's January 1. Let's go.
Yeah. And also if you find yourself falling off the plan.
Yeah, falling off the bandwagon. That probably means you've been using willpower to hold on to the bandwagon for dear life.
Yeah. I think you were about to say wheelbarrow for a moment there. Holding on to the wheelbarrow.
It could be a wheelbarrow. I don't know. Any type of bandwagon, any type of wheelbarrow that is the diet.
The problem is with willpower, it's going to feel like a constant battle with yourself. So, losing weight long term is going to feel really difficult if every day you're getting up and going to war with your own mind.
Exactly.
It's just not going to work long term.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's not how I want to live.
No.
I don't think that's how most people want to live, and yet we sit there telling ourselves that that's what it takes. That's what it's going to take for me to lose weight, and it's just not true. So instead of weight loss being this battleground and being this horrific experience that we constantly have to force ourselves to do, what we really want to do is get to this place where we are naturally able to make the choices for ourselves that align with the life we want to live. We're naturally going to make the food choices that feel good for us. We're going to enjoy what we're doing every single day because that's the type of person we want to be. We want to be someone who enjoys our life.
That's right.
to me, that is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, we also want to be like getting to a place where we're not judging ourselves for every decision. We want to just make a decision and own it.
Exactly.
You know, if we want to choose to eat the chocolate cake, cool.
Yeah.
There's no judgment that follows. You know, if we're currently at a place where we're judging ourselves and we're trying to force ourselves to do it the other way, like you're super relying on willpower to try and like force yourself in the right direction.
Yeah, and that willpower, as you just said, comes with that judgment and that guilt and that shame and that negativity.
Yeah.
We want to get rid of all of that because that's not a fun way to live. And it's also not required for weight loss. So if you know there's a better way, I'm not sure why you would choose the road of willpower when it's just very unpleasant.
Yeah. See, the problem with willpower is that it is a finite resource. You know,
Exactly.
It does tire throughout the day. The part of the brain that actually is responsible for willpower does get tired. It will start to tire out as we go through because we're making millions of decisions every single day. A lot of them are just unconscious, but we're still making decisions all the time.
Yeah.
It's like a supercomputer that it's going to use energy. So our willpower is used when we make a conscious decision that's not in alignment with what we would normally do.
Yeah.
So for example, in a work situation, it might be, well, I normally get a coffee, I sit down at my desk, I open my computer and I check my emails, and then Monday morning rolls around and your boss says to you like, hey, I need this document done urgently. You have to flick over into like, all right, quick, I need to prioritize things. I need to do something different that's outside of my normal routine.
Yeah, and willpower is interesting because I think that it also gets worn down the more that you beat yourself up. So if you're someone who thinks a lot of negative thoughts and talks to yourself in a negative way, you're going to find that your willpower will deplete much faster. And I think that we've all experienced that feeling at the end of the day when it's just so much harder to make a decision for ourselves. For example, we've done super well with following our diet all day, and then nighttime comes around and it's like, well, look, to be honest, I just deserve eating ice cream. I was really good all day.
Yeah.
That is, your willpower is now gone.
That's right.
You're just making the decision that feels the easiest in the moment because you feel so drained.
And that's exactly right. That's what we hear from clients all the time is, I was eating so well throughout the day and then I got home and I just blew it. After dinner, I just decided to get into the chips or, get into the chocolate, and I had one bite and then I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
That's an unconscious behavior that's taking over because we've tried to use willpower throughout the entire day. For all of us, there's two parts to our brain. There's the conscious brain and then there's an unconscious brain. So if you look at like a really simple, I'll draw it. The conscious brain is much smaller than the unconscious brain. However, that is also the thing that separates us from many of the other animals on the planet is the conscious brain, the ability for us to choose what we want to do in response to a stimulus.
And to think about our future self and to plan ahead and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it really is a really, really complex thing that is incredible. But we do have that unconscious brain, which drives our habits, our emotions, the things that we don't really have to think about. That's what this brain controls.
And it's working most of the day because our brain wants to conserve energy and it wants us to go through our day using as little energy as possible. So it wants to make as few decisions as possible. So our unconscious brain has like this set of pre-programmed decisions, which we've spoken about on the podcast before in a few different episodes. But like your brain is going to make these decisions based on many different things that it deems as being the best decision for you.
That's right.
The decision that requires the least amount of effort and the least amount of thinking power.
Yeah. So most of as we said before, the willpower really comes from that conscious brain. And as we said, that gets tired. So anytime you're making decisions, that's the conscious brain at work.
A great example that we use when talking about the unconscious brain is the example of brushing your teeth. You brush your teeth pretty much every day without really having to think about it.
We hope.
Yeah, it's a habit that you've been taught as a child that you now just do twice a day, every single day. It's something that no matter how stressful your day is, no matter how crazy life is, no matter if you're on holidays, no matter if you're sick, you still brush your teeth. So that's what an unconscious habit looks like, an automatic habit.
That's right. And that's what we ideally want to get to, a place of doing things from, where it doesn't really require, like when you go to brush your teeth, it's not requiring a huge amount of energy.
Yeah.
You can like do it while you're thinking about something different.
Yeah.
And there's real power in that, because if we can make other habits very similar to that, where we don't even have to think about it, that's going to really carry us a long part of the way to get to our goals. So if we're then applying those same principles to our eating habits, if we just naturally know, hey, I'll eat when I'm hungry and I'll stop at the point when I'm satisfied, if we don't really have to think beyond, it just happens.
Yeah.
It's never going to be an issue for you ever again.
An interesting thing to note as well about brushing your teeth is like, you don't always feel like doing it. Brushing your teeth isn't this thing where you're like, oh yes, I get to brush my teeth today. I'm so excited. Usually it's like, oh God, I just wish I could go to bed, but I've got to brush my teeth first. You still do it.
Yeah, and you don't question it.
Yeah, regardless of whether you feel like doing it or not, you still do it. And it's similar to those eating habits and even exercise habits and all these kind of habits that we're talking about. People who are doing the habits that you want to do are not sitting there thinking, wow, this is amazing and exciting all the time. They're just doing it anyway. They're feeling like, wow, I really don't feel like doing this today, but look, this is just what I do.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it anyway. And that's the difference. And I think that a lot of us come from this place of like, oh, you know, those people are really look forward to exercising all the time. Those people, you know, they're really excited about eating healthy all the time. That's not what it's like.
Yeah.
Don't have these unrealistic expectations that it's going to be this exciting thing all the time. It's like, no, they don't feel like doing it all the time, but the difference is that they still do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so one thing to note is those people who have the results, who are doing it seamlessly, they are the people who are doing it in a sustainable way.
They're not relying on willpower all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So the one takeaway that we want you to get from this particular episode is the difference between trying to lose weight with willpower versus trying to lose weight in a sustainable way that you're actually going to enjoy and feel good about. Because at the end of the day, we want to feel good about what we're doing and we want to enjoy the process.
That's really everything when it comes down to it. It's, to me, that's the difference between the people who aren't able to lose the weight and the people who are able to lose the weight and then keep it off. Is one person is trying to use willpower and trying to force themselves and beating themselves up all the time. The other person is doing it from a place of, how can I be proud about my decisions? How can I live my life in a way that I'm proud of?
Yeah.
And so willpower tends to be arguing with yourself, trying to force and control yourself from this place of negativity and shame.
Yeah.
That's typically what willpower looks like. Whereas on the other side, you've got making decisions you're proud of, which is considering the life you want for yourself, not from a place of I'm not good enough now, but from a place of self-care and self-respect, and that idea that I deserve better for myself. I really deserve to live a life that I enjoy. How can I make that happen?
Yeah. It's looking for solutions instead of focusing on the problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So an easy way to think about it is, if you have to escape or take a break from whatever method you're trying to use, it means you've chosen a path that's not sustainable, and you've likely chosen a path that's heavily relying on willpower. So if you're trying to stick to a 28-day challenge that has you eating all these weird foods and cutting out certain food groups, or you're sticking to a meal plan that someone else wrote, that you just found online.
Or you're doing boot camp classes at 5 a.m. every day when previously you didn't exercise.
Yeah, if you're doing stuff that feels really difficult, and it feels like all you want to do is have a break from that, like that's not a sustainable approach.
Yeah.
Like you're just putting yourself back into that same cycle of use willpower, need a break, and then go off the plan. And for a lot of people,
beat yourself up when you do that.
Yeah, well, for a lot of people, this happens on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Sometimes even daily. You know, they'll go all week sticking to the plan, and then they come to the weekends and they have to escape. You know, it's always like, oh, it started with takeaway on a Friday night, then it turned into we had drinks on Saturday night, and then there's a party on Sunday, and then Monday rolls around and it's like, oh crap, now I've got to get back onto the
and probably what you're going to say is, all right, it's Monday, I'm going to get serious now.
Yeah, exactly. And the process starts again.
Let's get serious, yeah.
So we want to catch that, guys. We don't want to fall into the trap of letting that cycle just take us around and around and around. We want to try and break that cycle and go, how can I do this from a different perspective? So that's it for today's episode, guys. We wanted to cover what willpower was and why relying on willpower is not a sustainable way. And hopefully what we've talked at length about today really gives you that picture, and you can start to see that, hey, you know, if I am relying on willpower, maybe that's not the best way for me to do that.
And also knowing that there is a better way to do it, and a way where you can actually enjoy the process while you're getting the results that you want.
That's right. And that's what we really teach to our clients in our course, and what we really try to instill in our clients are these habits that they can carry away for the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
You know, we want to get our clients to a point where implementing these habits is just like brushing their teeth. It just happens regardless, whether they're having a shitty day or it's raining outside or it's 40 degrees, like whatever's happening.
Pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. If we get locked down, like you still brushing your teeth. You're still doing these habits.
Yeah.
So we hope you got some great takeaway points from today's episode, and we will both see you in the next one.